Okay, welcome to the weekly Thursday 2 p.m. success webinar. Today, we don't have a big turnout. We think something went wrong with GoToWebinar. We have a few of you guys on early on. Hopefully more will show up. And at least I don't know if you want to, let people know in the groups, but no big deal. We record all these. We'll get the content for today down, and everybody at your office who's watching live now, or will be able to watch the replay. And speaking of which, we do post the replays of all of these to a YouTube playlist, which you'll have access to in a doc. And there's just a fire hose of content available at this point for you and everybody on your team to consume here. There are so many different ways, hours and hours of stuff that will help you use kvCORE and Conversion Plus to its fullest. So just make sure that everybody you work with is aware of this stuff, because it'll help everybody make more money at the end of the day, right, Annalisa? So what we're going to do today is a little bit of an advanced topic, but we needed to get this content down. It's a big key feature of both platforms, and something that, to my knowledge, not a lot of our competitors, if any at all, do. And that is our webhooks feature. It's a little techy, a little geeky, but also opens up a lot of power with the system with respect to integrating with third-party platforms. I'm just going to kind of walk through this outline. We're going to explain what webhooks are, how to use them in the system, and the different third-party places that you can use them, that you can integrate kvCORE and Conversion Plus with as we go through the content. First thing I'll do here, though, is I'll go ahead and paste this link to you here really quickly. Second. The share link, just bear with me, everybody who's on live today. Like I said, I think there are some technical difficulties. Something's up with GoToWebinar right now, but we're just going to plow through. So here is the doc to everybody watching live. If you're watching the replay, you'll find the link to our notes and the outline underneath the video on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching. You click over to that right now. So let's go now. Let's talk first about this initial disclosure, some advice I have here. Again, this is advanced. If you're not yet comfortable or consistently generating results with kvCORE Conversion Plus, just kind of treat this as info for later. Put it in the back of your head, and don't stress out about implementing all this right now. Like I said, it is advanced. It's for people who have kind of been using the system a while, and now they want to start to round it out with third-party applications that complement the system. So that said, I do think it's relevant to a newbie. If you just got access to the system and you're just coming in, this is still going to be useful information, and you'll learn a thing or two. But don't stress. I want to make sure we don't get you distracted from the main task at hand, which is to just start generating leads, conversations, and closings from our systems. All right. So what is a webhook? What is this thing? Well, the sort of textbook definition, which I grabbed from SendGrid, they had a good article about this that I linked to here. Basically, it's a way for an app to provide other applications with real-time information. And this article talks about how it's usually through an API. And what it is that different software solutions, kvCORE Conversion Plus included, will sort of talk to each other by sending these little webhooks. They're kind of like messages that they can understand. So we might send a message out to an application like Slide Broadcast that triggers a phone number, a phone call, for example, and Slide Broadcast on their end will have this API stuff available so that they understand what we're sending them and will trigger actions in their application. So long and short of it, it makes two different pieces of software talk to each other, a webhook. That's what it does. Now, where do you get the actual webhook? I got to kind of, still going to be a little abstract for you as you listen to me here, but this is the first thing you kind of need to know, because as you use webhooks in our systems, you actually have to enter a webhook into our system to be triggered into the third party. So where you typically get them is from the third party app directly, if you view their API documentation. So I'll use Slide Broadcast as the example here, slidebroadcast.com. Usually if you scroll down to the bottom of a lot of software, they'll have something about their API somewhere, or you might Google Slide Broadcast API if you can't find it. Here it is. In this case, they have it right here. And this is going to look like gobbledygook and programmer type stuff. But what you get with Conversion and kvCORE is if you want to hire a developer and make our stuff talk with other applications, you can, right? So you have that first option. If you're tech savvy, use APIs directly, use a developer, and just grab the API docs and the webhook information from the different applications. But the easier or more common way to do this these days is Zapier.com, which is basically something that simplifies this API stuff. It makes different things talk together naturally. And Zapier has this webhook tie-in built in. I'm going to kind of show you what that looks like here. Just in a few seconds, we're going to show you how you create a webhook to use in Zapier.com. Any questions so far? Can you guys see my screen? Like I said, something went wrong. We've been getting about 100 attendees here live, just based on GoToWebinar messaging people and reminding them about our sessions. So I think for whatever reason, that didn't work today on the GoToWebinar side. So we do have a small crowd. I'm not expecting a lot of questions, but if you have anything, anybody watching live, just let me know and I'll just keep plowing through the information. Okay, so how do we create a webhook action in Zapier.com? So the first thing I want to show you is probably the first step in this whole process before you do anything in Conversion Plus or kvCORE. First thing you're going to need is a Zapier.com account. So kind of glanced over that right here. Zapier.com. I'm not going to show you me creating the account, but I just want to show you their homepage. Kind of explains what they do. It's very easy to get a free account. You will need a premium account for certain applications, but that's just, Zapier has to make their money somehow. I will say it's very, very well worth paying them in most cases versus hiring a developer for $50 or $100 an hour to do this stuff directly with APIs. So it's a useful service. Once inside of Zapier, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to make a zap, like so. You're going to click the big orange Make a Zap button. And in this example, let's say, since I mentioned slide broadcast, let's just call this a slide broadcast zap. I'll call it slide broadcast demo. And the important step is it says set up this step, choose app, and what we're going to use is the Webhooks by Zapier actions. So they're basically going to provide us with a hook that we can then give to other platforms. And what we're going to do is we're going to click Catch Hook. That's the option we want. Click Save and Continue. And we're going to leave this page open, but we're going to copy this hook right here. And I'm going to open up my notepad. Right here, I have my test kind of scratch pad right here. I'm just going to save this hook because I'm going to need it in a minute when I get into kvCORE Conversion Plus and start working with this thing. Okay, so I'll slide that into my second monitor over here for a second. And for now, we're just going to leave this as is. Okay, and we're going to come back later once we get going. You know what? Let's not leave it as is. We have options here. I'm going to actually proceed, and I'm going to do the normal thing with Zapier. I'm actually going to add the action app. So in this case, it was slide broadcast. I think doing it this way will help you guys have a little more context on what we're doing. So I created my hook here. I haven't sent it any data yet. And now I'm setting up my action step. Now I've already linked my slide broadcast account to this, but you can run through that process if you happen to use slide broadcast. And then we're going to start a new campaign using an audio file. Continue. I'm going to connect an account. I think this is good for you guys to see. It's not so relevant. I don't want to get bogged down in showing you how to link an account in Zapier, but I think it is relevant. So I'm just doing that in my other monitor. It asks you to kind of log into the application that you're using. And of course, because I'm live, it threw an error because I'm not remembering my slide broadcast password. Sorry. So I'm going to I posted a video in the kvCORE group yesterday, custom audiences, Facebook, about shooting info into Facebook's custom audiences. And since I just did that yesterday, I'll use that as our example, guys. I apologize. So Facebook custom audiences, choose action, and I kind of have my action app ready to go. And I choose the action. I want to add an email to a custom audience, continue. And it's this part right here. I've got my account linked up. It's this setup template part that I kind of want to illustrate for you. And what's happening with this webhook and the use of Zapier is that kvCORE is going to send information over to here. Let me get my pen. They're going to kind of shoot information and dump it into this hook. See how it says catch it? And Zapier is going to catch our hook, grab the information like the name, email, phone number, all the data fields that are available, and they're going to kind of hold on to it for a second, right? And then they're going to say, hey, let's send some of that down into here, right, into our action apps right here. And what we need to do is we need to then configure the different fields coming from up here. We need to set those up right there. I hope this is making sense. I'm trying to kind of Khan Academy this and make it as simple as possible, because at first it's really abstract, but when you do it one time, it's like, oh, duh, this is really kind of straightforward. If I just follow the wizard in Zapier, it all, you know, works out. But the first time it can be a little disorienting. So let me clear out my drawings and let's see here, and just show you kind of what that looks like. It's going to ask me, to link my ad account, in this case with Facebook ads. So every time there's going to be this sort of choosing of the app in a specific account that you're working with. I think I did this in this account yesterday. It'll ask me which custom audience I want to map to. Doesn't really matter here. And then it's going to ask me for the data that I want to send over. In this case, we would be sending email addresses into a Facebook custom audience, and I need to map it over. And you'll see what happens here is that because I haven't sent any data yet from Kunversion or kvCORE, it says missing choices, complete step 1. It wants me to finish sending data and testing out this webhook, which I haven't done. You can see I'll test this step is grayed out. And that's why I kind of stumbled there and said, well, we need to go back and send the data, but I wanted you to get the context. Making sense? Sarah, thanks for replying before. Like I said, not a lot of people here, but it really does help when you guys just say, yeah, Ryan, keep on going. It keeps me honest. Okay, so let's clear that out. We've kind of gone into Zapier. We've got our framework set up for this webhook and this third-party thing that we want to do. The next step is going to be now to go into, and at least I put a bunch of notes here. We're going to go into, make sure I got this right. We're going to go into kvCORE and Kunversion Plus. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do it in both platforms. I'm going to spend about 5 minutes in each platform with the walkthrough. So if you are a kvCORE user and you don't use Kunversion, you can kind of check Facebook for a minute if you want, or vice versa. But let's just go ahead and do this. So let's start with kvCORE. And I try to do a good job preparing here, guys, and being all logged in, but I did not in this case. Give me 1 second. Just logging into kvCORE. And Lisa, how are we doing?
I think it's awesome because this is something that myself, I have been trying to get my little noggin around these too. So this is super helpful to me because, you know, I'm good at the inner working tools, but this is good stuff. I think everybody else is going to feel a good benefit from the use too. This is going to ramp up their business.
I think most of us who are, you know, practicing, we have lots of different shiny objects and tools that we use. And one of the big benefits that people don't realize is that kvCORE and Kunversion can talk to a lot of different things. You know, you don't have to always go buy or change what you already have, and you can make things work together. So that's what this is about. So here I am.
And I just want to add that really, you know, when you have kvCORE, K+, you've got this AI that you can employ, and it works 24/7, 365. So it does a lot for you while you're out and about doing the now kind of stuff, which is great.
That's a really good point, because as we're about to see, what I'm about to do is we're going to be triggering these webhooks automatically as people are added into the different phases in marketing autopilot or in drip campaigns in Kunversion Plus. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into marketing autopilot in kvCORE. And I'm going to go into one of my existing smart campaigns. So you go into one of my existing smart campaigns. And if you know, a smart campaign is basically a series of actions that happen and are triggered by when somebody enters a specific step. So yesterday, I'll use the same example. I created a closed client smart campaign. And what I did was I set it up so it was triggered. Get that useful pen here again. I basically set up a new smart campaign and I said, start this campaign when the status of the lead changes to closed. right? So if I'm in a specific lead and the status changes into a closed lead, I'm going to start a series of actions. And this is kind of the core drip campaign functionality in kvCORE. And what we have the ability to do with this webhooks feature is we can add actions. We can add emails, calls, SMS, tasks. We can create a tag. We can change the status, which is very, wow, we need to do a whole nother webinar on that because we can actually change the status within campaigns and hand things over. And we can also trigger the webhook, which is what we're focused on today. And you'll see here what I've done. I already have one here, but I'm going to add a new webhook. And it's going to ask me to select a template. Right? Now, the first thing you need to do is make sure that that template is available. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I think it was important that I showed you that first. And I'm going to go to templates right up here. Do you see where I kind of click that? I'm going to add a webhook template that I can then use inside of my campaigns. Okay. And I'm going to call this one, since I'm using that custom audience, send to Facebook custom audience. It's asking me for scope because I have an admin demo account here. Just pick whatever's relevant. And then right here, it's going to ask for the URL. This is kind of the important thing here. And Annalisa, I'll give you some points. Where am I going to get that URL? Am I putting you on the spot?
Oh, sorry, I was typing.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
That's right. I'll give you that.
Oh, so you're going to need to go to your oh gosh, now I can't think. I was like all concentrating on the typing of the words. Sorry. You're going to get it from your Zapier, aren't you? Or not Zapier, but your custom audiences that you uploaded.
No, you were right the first time. We're going to go into Zapier. I'm sorry to do that to you, but we're going to go into Zapier.
I'll get you back.
And then, yeah, and then we're going to go into this first step we had in Zapier right here. And remember, we had created this hook, and I put it over here in my notepad.
Yes.
This is my URL that I need to feed to kvCORE now. So let's do that. So the webhook URL comes from Zapier or from the third-party API you're using. Most of us are going to use Zapier, so I'm going to go with that. Now the next thing it asks for is query parameters, all right? And we're getting really geeky here, but I think for those of you watching this will really kind of help you understand how the web works and how kind of things work out there in the internet. If you even go to your kvCORE site and you go to, say, a .com or your conversion site, I'll just go to an example site, and you go to any set of properties like this. I'm just going to go here. These things, after the question mark up top, these are query parameters. Okay, I know it might be small on your screen, but you have your base URL, and then it says question, quick equals 1. So the parameter here is quick, and it equals 1. Display equals this. And, usually if you look at, you probably don't pay attention to the address bar, when you're out there on the web, but if you look up, you'll notice a lot of times that there are parameters set. And in fact, in our case, a lot of these parameters can control what actually displays on the page. So this comes into play. Annalisa, you've made some videos recently about squeeze links, that are very helpful.
Yeah, you can physically change these up to make custom squeeze pages as well, which is cool. And I'll add the link to that at the bottom of the sheet.
Yep. So just as this is the basic definition, I don't want to distract you guys, but I think it's important to realize what these things are. Parameter is kind of an additional variable, going back to algebra here, right? So that exists at the end of a URL that makes things happen. So in this case, we have our base URL is going to be this webhook that we got from Zapier. And then our query parameters can be whatever we tell Zapier we want them to be. There's tons of freedom here. I know that I need to feed Facebook an email address to add to a custom audience. If I was using Slide Broadcast, I would know that Slide Broadcast needs a phone number. If I'm using something like Thanks.io or a postcard program, I would need something that adds an address. In this case, I'm going to send them an email, and I'm going to say email is the parameter, and then it says select parameter value right here. Now I can call this email anything I want. I could call it email busy, right? email-a-thon, it doesn't really matter. What's going to matter is when we get back into Zapier and this is triggered, that we can kind of grab it. So just remember what you call it. I'm going to call mine email, and then I'm going to have this drop down, and I'm going to have all these different things that I can send on over. And I'm kind of surprised here. This is really cool. I didn't realize that our developers, when they built this, they added us the ability to send some stuff over about listings. I haven't even explored that yet. But in this case, we're going to stick to the lead email. We have the lead's full name, their first name, last name, source, referred by, all different information. But I'm just going to send over the email. And I'm going to now add the webhook. It's now a template in my system. I can go back to the campaign library. There we go. Just give it a second to load. Go back into my closed campaign. And I had done this yesterday, so there was one here already, so I'm just going to kind of delete the one I did yesterday, remove it. And what this looks like is that I can go into any campaign and now add this webhook template. I can basically send the email address of the lead into that webhook at any stage in any campaign. And this is just really, 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 really powerful stuff for you geeks out there. I think some of you guys are starting to get excited, I hope. So I'm going to add the action webhook. I'll call, and it would be good to name it, send email to Facebook custom audience, right? So I kind of like describe it and know what it is. Select the webhook. Here it is. I'm going to tell it to run immediately. It can also run, maybe I don't want to do the specific thing. Say I'm sending a phone call, right, to thank them, or they're a new lead, I'm sending a phone call. I can say run. I can set it to run like 6 minutes later, right? Typical, anything you can do with a drip campaign. Like if you send an email, 2 hours later, you can do that here too. But I'm going to set it to run immediately in this case. And I'm going to click add. So to recap, what we've just done is we've have our smart campaign that is set up to trigger when the status of a lead is changed to closed. So we close the deal with them. And when it's changed to closed, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to trigger this webhook that adds them to our past client custom audience in Facebook. And again, there's so much flexibility here. This webhook could do anything. It could talk to, I'm going to talk more about that. I can send them a text message through a third-party app or something like that. But that is basically what we've done is we've told kvCORE to talk to this webhook, right, to shoot it off over to Zapier anytime this thing happens. The status is changed to closed. Okay. So we'll erase our drawings again. Now I need to test this, and I need to get the thing to fire, because remember we have this over here sitting in Zapier, right? And it's kind of waiting for us for the information to come through, so that we can then map the information down here. It says, okay, I did this. Well, I haven't actually done it yet, right? It says send a request to the URL below so we can pull it as a sample to set your Zap. I need to shoot the information over, and the way I'm going to do that is by making my kvCORE rule trigger. Right? And the way it triggers is when I change a lead to the status of closed. So let me go into my smart CRM. And if for anybody watching this is like the first webinar of ours that you're watching, trust me, it's not always this complicated, right, Annalisa? It's
good.
This is advanced.
Mm-hmm. It is advanced, but I think as people are coming in that are maybe have used these for a little while or are familiar with kvCORE, now they're like, oh, the opportunities. And I think for newer people, showing them the breadth and depth of what can be done once they get that foundation built, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to one of my test leads right here. Something I was playing with last week. And I'm going to change the status of this lead to, right up here, to closed. Click save. And watch what's going to happen. I'm going to click proceed. And in the history of, if this works correctly, in the history of the contact, yes, it worked. I was like nervous there. Look what it did. It says webhook triggered. So since it was triggered right here, I should now be able to go into Zapier. Back up here. And now I can say, okay, I did this. boom, it says pulled in 0 seconds ago. I click this little drop down. I can see what it sent me. It did exactly what it did. It sent the query string. Remember that parameter? It sent the email over to me there. Now I'm ready to go on to the action step again. My Facebook custom audiences. I've kind of done the pre-setup there. Click continue. And remember that step we hadn't done yet was this add to map the email over. So I'm going to click this little drop down. And now it's available. A few minutes ago, it wasn't there yet because we hadn't sent the hook over. Now I can click, boink, and it's there. And I can send the test. And I picked the wrong, I did it really quick, guys. I had the wrong kind of custom audience. With custom audiences, I posted a thing in the group yesterday. It needs to be a certain type of custom audience. And this session isn't quite about how to do the specific little actions, every little one like Facebook's live broadcast, but more about the flow. So everything I did will work. I'm going to click the skip test. If I picked the right audience here, the right type, it would have worked fine. Okay, so that's sort of how we make it happen from kvCORE. I'm going to jump into Conversion Plus really quick. It's pretty similar, and just show you how this all looks from there. I'm logging in another window. I'll go much quicker there because you kind of got the nuts and bolts of it, but just show you where the webhooks are created within a campaign. I think that would be useful. So let's do this. You got it, Annalisa? Like the slow enough, or?
I think it's a good pace. How's everybody else feeling? Mary, Sarah, is it good pace so far? I think so.
Yeah. So let's go here. Sorry, guys, I'm just logging in to a Conversion Plus account. And where this is going to happen in my settings. We're going to scroll down. And within an existing drip campaign, where you add drips and text, it's basically you pick the campaign, and then you have this option right here, to lead to me, and then you can choose webhook. You can, now the subject in Conversion Plus is just going to be like a note to you. So send to custom audience, and then the body is going to be the webhook. And it's a little more complicated with Conversion Plus because you actually have to put the question mark in and do email equals. Remember before kvCORE kind of had it set up in kvCORE where you should email and what it was, but you just do question mark email equals, and then all your stuff is right here. All the different things you can send over are right here. And the one we need is lead email, pound lead email. So email equals pound lead email. Now with Conversion Plus, I don't think you can trigger this to happen instantly. So you may need to go here and just enter this like this into a browser and give the email a parameter so that it shoots over to the webhook. Okay, and you'll get this little success message. But otherwise, the theory and the thinking is all the same. It's just slightly different with Conversion Plus. If you're a Conversion Plus user and you need any help implementing this, I'm happy to personally do that. It's a little tad more complicated. Just email rhartman@insiderealestate.com. I can get into your account and just make sure you have it set up right if you have any difficulty at all. But that's sort of where you do it. You do it as you add your drip emails. You pop the webhook in, and then you add this query string at the end right there. Okay, so let's go back to our notes. Where are we? Okay, good. So let's get into the fun part here and just talk about a few of the little things that we can do, the different action apps and things that we could do that say kvCORE Conversion Plus don't do yet. That's sort of what we're talking about here. Like if there's something you want to do with your CRM that maybe we don't do yet, or and there's very good reasons why we don't do some of this stuff. We can't build everything under the sun, right? But there's something you really want to do. There's a core group of 5 or 6 of them that I've listed here that come to mind for me. First would be slide broadcast. I've seen a lot of people use this successfully. Say a lead comes in, we'll go back to slidebroadcast.com. What this can do is it can trigger a voicemail from you. It'll go straight to, it'll bypass them picking up the phone, and it'll drop a voicemail in their voicemail inbox on a cell phone, right? And you can record your message. So you could say something like, hey, Ryan here with Active Realty Florida. I saw you were just on my website. Just want to say a quick thank you. And if you just want to call me up or reply to my email, let me know what you're looking for. I'm here for you anytime. Just sound cool. Just say hello, right? It's just an extra touch, requires zero work from you. Their phone dings and they saw they got a voicemail from you, and great. So voicemails are definitely a good way to go. It's kind of like having not an ISA, right? But it kind of covers, might be a nice replacement if you don't feel like paying an ISA. At least somebody like drop your voice out into them, and you have a lot of flexibility. So slide broadcast would be one example. Another example, just go down the list here, would be Facebook custom audiences. So I had that video. I'll get that dropped here, Annalisa, if you have a minute. I did a full tutorial about the Facebook custom audience thing yesterday, detailed walkthrough. But the idea there would be that you can drop your leads and people in different statuses into audiences on Facebook and then start showing them ads. So I would definitely, start showing ads to new leads, or you might want to put all your past clients, all your closed transactions in a separate custom audience so you can show them stuff. Maybe you do client appreciation parties would be a good example, right? You want them to know that you're having an event coming up for all your past clients. You can start showing them a Facebook ad with that event would be one practical use. So I kind of just showed you the Facebook custom audiences deal as we did our initial walkthrough. Another one would be thanks.io. Anytime I mention thanks.io, I have to bring up that I am a partner in thanks.io. We are going to be, it's available in Conversion Plus. It'll be available in the marketplace of kvCORE, I think in the next week or so. But thanks.io is basically a postcard sending company. It allows you to get something out with direct mail. And it's sort of pseudo handwritten and personal. So I have an example here, kind of ready to go, where the hook comes in. You can also add other actions. As a good example, you can send an email out to a third party. You can do multiple actions within one Zapier Zap too. I should mention that. So in this case, I sent an email out. Maybe I want somebody to know about the lead or something like that. And then in this case, we are sending over. This will give you context. Thanks.io has a lot more options. You can add them to a specific mailing list there. Send a specific card. We map over their address info that's sent over from kvCORE to Conversion Plus, and so on. So there's another use right there. Go to webinar, dirty sauce. I have next to this, again, this is advanced. I don't think a lot of you guys are doing this, but if you want to make if you want to sell like, I don't know, 3 to 5 times as many houses as you did last year, listen up. I'm going to clap my hands as a pattern interrupt if you're checking Facebook right now. I'm going to give you a trick that I think is worth a lot to you. So start doing what Annalisa and I are doing here every week, but you don't have to do it every week. Do it every other week or once a month, right? And do a monthly home buyer webinar or state of the market or a webinar for investors, whatever you choose. Get a GoToWebinar account, right? And start adding all of your leads. Now you could do any lead that comes in as an investor, get really granular, and you can sign people up for a recurring GoToWebinar. Now, I'm kind of laughing as I say this because today we had an issue with GoToWebinar not sending out the update email, so we only have a few of you on. But 99 times out of 100, in my experience, GoToWebinar will send a message through the mail reminding them of your webinar each and every time you do it, and you'll get great attendance and lots of engagement from GoToWebinar. And in fact, that's how we do. A lot of you guys get onto these webinars, is that as you become a new user of kvCORE, we get you invited into the webinar. So just a little trick there. I think for those of you who are kind of seeing the big picture, you'll get excited about that. There's a cost associated with GoToWebinar. There are other webinar platforms, but if you can do a recurring content piece like the one you're watching right now, and you can add the right people, use that Webhooks feature to add the right people, you'll like the results. I will mention that there is a simpler way. You could directly tie kvCORE and Conversion Plus to GoToWebinar if you want to without using the webhooks, but you might find it useful to be able to do it as part of drip campaigns. So I thought it was relevant here. Next thing, third-party SMS platforms. We get this a lot, right? We do have, there's a lot of issues around texting with people spam texting. There's TCPA laws and all this other stuff. So we have to, as a company, sort of restrict some things. We know it's frustrating for some users, but we also need to take care of your broker. If your broker's paying for us, we don't want to get them sued, right? So any conservative things you see from us there that might be frustrating, they're there for a reason. But if you want to go around that and risk getting yourself sued, we don't want to send a text. But if you want to go get a Twilio account on your own, and you want to have more flexibility with sending text to people, be able to do it more often, you can tie Twilio.com directly to through the Webhooks feature and shoot texts out that way as a third party. And I think for some of you guys who are frustrated with some of the limitations we have, this might be a really good option, right? So, and if you have permission, you might just do this with your past clients or your sphere, people who know you already, and you just want to add them so that and shoot them a text every 4 months, like, hey, just checking in. A great text here would be, hey, just checking in, right? Do you know anybody who you could refer to me? Like, do you know anybody who might want to buy or sell real estate? I really appreciate referrals. Something really kind of cool and calm, and it would only be for people who are hitting certain statuses in your CRM. But wouldn't it be cool if that text could just go out, every quarter or every 6 months, and you could set it up, and it seems like you're sending it out. So I think texting is a really relevant use of this webhook feature. Dialers, I have done this. I'm a little, the Mojo stuff, the third-party dialers. I know a lot of people in the industry like this. I don't have a lot of intimate experience, but I do know that some dialers, Annalise is typing, but some dialers, you could shoot info in there that way, so you consider the link with dialer. And then the last really big one that I have extensively played with, and this is huge, lender CRMs. Now, we have in our program some functionality for lenders, but lenders also have a lot of stuff related to their business that we don't have, on the CRM front, a lot of things to worry about. And I know that many lenders like to work their leads in their own system. So they'll partner with a kvCORE Conversion Plus user, and they love to get the leads also pushed into their CRM. Now, you might not want to send every lead you get to your lender, right? Maybe you only want to send the ones that you're actively working with to your lender, and things like that. You might not want them calling everybody as they come in because it'll be too much. So what you can do is you can set up the webhook to only trigger when the lead goes into a certain status, and then send all the information you have about the lead to your lender. And I think that just knowing that this is available might help you find lender partners who would be happy to know that they can map the data over into their system as it comes in. So that's that. I think that's sort of our demo, our training for today. Does anybody have any questions? Do you have any additional thoughts, Annalisa?
I don't. I think this is absolutely incredible, and my eyes are completely opened. I mean, I knew there was a lot you could do here. I just haven't did the old swan dive into it, and this was great.
Yeah. So I think it's good. Put it in the back of your head. It'll hit you one day. You'll be in the shower. You'll be like, oh, I wish I could send a text to this person. Where is that webinar about webhooks? And then, bam, you got it right here. It's just half the battle is just knowing that this stuff is available in the system.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's not a lot of other questions, we'll let everybody go. Do we have any plans for Tuesday? Any guests or anything next week?
Yes. Right now, I have Damian Hall out of, I believe it's North Carolina. He is a specialist in equine estates, like luxury estates. However, he is amazing with Instagram as well. So he will be, I talk with him a lot on Instagram. So basically, he handles everything from feeds with his photos. He does live video. He has different stories with him on his Instagram, and he does Instagram TV.
Cool. I was trying to find his Insta profile real quick to tease people, but
I don't think that's him, but yeah, he does so much, and it's really neat because he also they go on tours. Like one of their guys in their office was needed a little fresh up on his duds, so they took him to a local place and got him a suit, and they just introduced a local vendor, and he does all sorts of stuff out there.
Is this him?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So he'll be our guest. Was that Tuesday or Thursday?
Tuesday. Yeah, I'm going to call him today.
I'm looking forward to that. I need to brush up on Insta because my daughter is always asking me how to get more followers and stuff, and I try to help her, but
she's great.
Yeah. And then you know what? Do me a favor, Annalise. Can you put her? Yeah. I'll put it in the doc. Everybody subscribe to my daughter's Insta so she thinks I'm doing a good job for her. But if you're watching the replay right now, reminder, we'll have a link. You can watch all these sessions at your own pace in the YouTube playlist. And of course, don't forget to participate in our Inside Real Estate Success group, where we do lots of this kind of stuff every day.
And the links to join the group and access the documents to have all of our past sessions is at the very bottom of the sheet. So it's all there for you.
Okay. Thanks a lot. See everybody later. Thanks for attending today.
Bye.
And thanks, Annalisa. Bye.